So, hello everyone, myself R.D. Preshil. So, today we are going to learn about social psychology. So, basically, social psychology is the scientific study of how a person's thoughts, feelings, and behavior influence and are in return influenced by social groups. In other words, it is a field or area of psychology in which researchers or psychologists focus on how human behavior is affected by the presence of other people. In social psychology, we usually study how a group's behavior is affecting an individual's behavior and also how an individual's behavior is affecting a group's behavior. So, on both sides, we will study. Now, I have divided social psychology into three parts. The first part deals with social influence, and the second part is deals with the social cognition, and the third part deals with social interaction. Now, coming to part 1 deals about social influence. What is social influence? The process through which the presence of others can directly or indirectly influence the thoughts, feelings, and behavior. In all of the social psychology, we deal with the thoughts, feelings, and also behavior, whether it is in influence or in cognition or in interaction. Okay, and then this social influence is further divided into very small 4 units and very easy also. The first unit is conformity. Conformity can be defined as changing one's own behavior to match that of other people. But the most important point here to note is, while we are changing our own behavior to match other person's behavior, no one is asking us to do so, and there is no external authority due to which we are doing so. You understood? See, so there is a very famous experiment by Solomon Asch. What he did was, he recruited 7 confederates. Confederates matlab they are intentional, they know what the research study is about, but the participant does not know. Okay, so there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 confederates and 1 research participant. Okay, then the activity is, all of them are shown this figure. There will be shown a line and there will be 3 lines which are shown. And the question is, the participant has to pick the correct answer. Which line is the same length as the line on the left? Okay, but what happens here is, the researcher deliberately asks these 7 confederates to choose the wrong answer. Okay, then the participant, despite knowing that answer is A, chooses the same answer as all the 7 confederates. He explored in multiple ways whether 3 confederates produce more conformity, whether 9 confederates produce more conformity, and he found out that 7 confederates produced more conformity in participants. The most important point here is to note that no one asks us to do so, and there is no external authority while we are conforming to others' behavior. Okay. Now then there is, please refer to Solomon Asch experiment, and there is one more experiment by Muzaffar Sharif, refer to that also. Then, so why do we conform in general? Why do we conform to a group behavior? There are 3 explanations for that. Either it is due to normative social influence. What is that? There is a need in every individual to act in ways that we feel will let us be liked and accepted by others. So when we think, if we behave in a certain way that the group members will like us or will accept us into their group, we will behave accordingly. That is normative social influence. The name says that there is a tendency to follow the group norms or rules or regulations or something. Okay, then there is informational social influence. According to that, we take our cues or hints, like for suppose there is a very unclear situation, uncertain situation. For suppose you have joined in a college, so on the first day you don't know what to do, whether you should approach teachers or not, whether you should mingle with friends or not. So what you will do is, you take cues or hints for how to behave from other people when we are in an uncertain social situation, whether it is in a party, whether it is in a college, whether it is in a function or anything. So this is what informational social influence. Even due to this also, we sometimes conform to group behavior. And then there is mental averaging, which is nothing but individuals sometimes get confused with their own behavior, like get confused about their own behavior with the behavior of others. Okay, so that is mental averaging. Now, coming to unit 2, that's it. The topics are very small. Coming to unit 2, compliance, the topics are very small. Compliance is nothing but it is a psychological process which refers to changing one's behavior, one's own behavior, as a result of other people directing or asking for the change. Okay, see, in conformity, there is no request or there is no request by others, and there is no authority who can command us, but still we conform to other people behavior voluntarily. But in compliance, we change our behavior as a result of other people directing or asking for the change. Okay, but there is no authority here. So there are 3 techniques in compliance which we will get to know. First thing is foot in the door technique. What is that? First, what is foot in the door technique? First, they will ask a small commitment, and after getting commitment, like after getting compliance, they'll ask for a bigger commitment. For suppose you are in an apartment or so, and your neighbors, like the opposite flatmate or someone, went to a camp for one day. Then he will call you and he will ask you to water your plants which are outside of your outside of their home. Okay, then you will go and water their plants. So that is a small request to start by. There are just 2 plants, you went them and poured water to them. Then he will again call you and can you please feed my dog also, can you please feed my pet also which is outside. So we will they'll ask for a smaller commitment first, and then they will ask for a bigger commitment after getting the compliance for the first request. Then there is a door in the face technique. This is mostly used by fundraising, like in fundraising and all. They'll first ask for a large commitment, keeping in mind that they will get refused. Okay, they will first ask for a large commitment, like asking to donate 10,000 rupees or so. Then they will ask for a smaller commitment. So we will refuse. 10,000 is not possible for me. Then they will say, okay sir, is 500 possible? Like they will not drop drastically. They will ask, is it 5,000 possible? Is 2,000 possible? Is 500 possible? So this is called a door in the face technique. And then there is lowball technique, which is used by Geo. So first they will get a commitment from a person. See, in the beginning, Geo announced free plans, right? Everyone gets their SIM for free, everyone gets their data and voice calls for free. And then they raised the cost, sorry, spelling mistake, it's okay. Then they raised the cost of that commitment. So in order to stay with Geo, you need to pay 200 rupees first. Then they raised it to 300, then they raised it to 400. So that is the lowball technique, mostly used by companies and all, okay? Even credit cards also, first they will offer you a lifetime free credit card, so there will not be any charges, so you will commit to them. Then after 1 year or 2 years, when you get used to that credit card, they will say that the annual charges for this is 500 rupees or 1000 rupees or so. So that is all about compliance. Now coming to obedience, unit 3. What is obedience? Changing one's own behavior at the command of an authority figure. Simple. In first conformity, there is no request from any other person and there is no authority. Then when we came to compliance, there is a request from other person, but that other person do not have the authority to command us. But in obedience, we change our own behavior because the authority which is giving, like the person who is giving us commands have that authority. There is a very famous study by Stanley Milgram, which is also called Milgram shocking research, in which he recruited a participant and he is told to administer shock to the learner. Learner is actually a fake test subject, okay? Because the learner knows what the research goal is about. And what this learner did, this learner pretends to have received shock by shouting with pain. So the experimenter, like the Milgram, he said to the participant that we are teaching the learner a particular subject or something. So the participant who acts as a teacher should ask a question to that fake subject. The participant does not know that he is a fake test subject. Okay, that entire current electricity setup is fake. The participant does not know that. Then he asks the questions. Whenever that learner gives a wrong answer, the participant need to administer a shock to that learner. But when he administers a shock, the participant, the learner, shouts as if he got shocked. But in reality, there is no electricity there. Okay, and whenever that participant felt uncomfortable by giving shock to some human being, whenever he wants to quit, the experimenter, which is Milgram, urges participant to continue despite participants asking to quit. Why? Because he has that authority, he pretends that he has that authority, and he commands them, like, no, you should do this, the research needs the research requires you to do this. So by saying that, the experimenter asked that participants to continue despite their own will. The participant is given something, a mission something like this, which has slight shock, moderate shock, strong shock, very strong shock, and to the more extreme end, there is a severe shock. What actually Milgram expected in this research is, most of the participants will drop out in the middle itself. But to his surprise, nearly 61 to 66% of participants continued till the end. So this is the most famous research done by Milgram regarding obedience. Now, coming to last unit in social influence, group behavior. Until now, we have learned about conformity, compliance, and obedience. But there are many other ways in which a group can influence the behavior of an individual and vice versa. One of that is groupthink. So what is groupthink? It is a type of thinking that occurs when people place more importance on maintaining group cohesiveness than on assessing the facts of the problem with which the group is concerned. See, the best example for groupthink is Titanic. In Titanic, what was the aim of making the Titanic? They want to build an unsinkable ship. So the entire group has one single goal and one single belief that the Titanic will be an unsinkable ship. But so because of that, the group which built that Titanic ship did not do the quality checks or something, just because the entire group believed that it is an unsinkable ship. So that is nothing but groupthink, a type of thinking that occurs when people place more importance on maintaining group cohesiveness than on assessing the facts of the problem. There are so the groupthink has certain characteristics. First one is invulnerability. People think that they cannot fail. The group believed that Titanic will not be sinkable. Then there is rationalization. Help each other rationalize their decisions even when wrong. For suppose. Then there is lack of introspection. For suppose. We have seen many gang rape cases in our country, right? That is nothing but one of the cases of groupthink, in which there is a lack of introspection. Even though in those 4 or 5 members gang, even though a person believes that this is wrong, what we are doing is wrong, they do not examine such ethical implications and believe what they are doing is moral because of the group. That is lack of introspection. Stereotyping, then there is stereotyping their enemies or outliers as stupid and unreasonable. So whenever there is an individual who questions those group beliefs or those group agendas, then they stereotype them as their enemies. Okay. Then there is pressure, obviously. So when an entire group is believing something, there will be a pressure on each individual not to question prevailing opinions, right? So when there is that pressure, there will not be any disagreements between any of the individuals in a group. So there will be a lack of disagreement. Why? Because they do not express opinions that differ from group opinion. Okay. Then there is self-deception. See, self-deception is interesting. In a group of 5 members, I might have an opinion that whatever the group is believing is wrong. But I might think that all the 4 people are believing it is right. But in reality, at least 2 to 3 members are believing in the same way. But I believe in an illusion that they all agree with that particular decision. So that is nothing but called self-deception. Then there is insularity. Insularity is nothing but they do not allow opinions from outside of the group. Then in the group behavior, there is, after groupthink, there is group polarization. See, there is a tendency for members involved in a group discussion, to take somewhat more extreme, either high or low positions, and suggest riskier actions when compared to individuals who have not participated in a group discussion. For example, there are 5 members who are running a business together, and there is only one individual who is running a business together. Let us assume both belong to same category business like e-commerce or something. Then both businesses are running at loss. Now to make that business profitable, we need more investment into that. So now what they'll do is, in the group, like the group which has started that business together have a tendency to take more risks, okay, suggest more riskier actions when compared to individuals. So this individual does not belong to a particular group. Whatever the risk he has to take, he has to bear the consequences alone. So that is why he has the lesser tendency to take riskier actions. So this individual might close the business overall, but this group might risk it investing 5 more lakhs to make that business profitable. So this happens either could be either both due to normative and informational social influence, like as we have studied in conformity, right? Like that. Then there is social facilitation and impairment. For suppose, what is social facilitation? The positive influence of others on performance when we perceive the task is easy. For suppose, there is a group of 10 members and one of the members is an expert in let us say archery. They went to play an archery game together, and then that one person who is expert in archery is trying to perform his showcase his skills in front of entire group. Because he is a professional in archery, so the task is easy. Then the influence of that group will be positive on him by increasing the arousal, which helps in facilitation. Okay. Then the reverse could occur in social impairment. Social impairment is nothing but there will be a negative influence of others on performance when an individual perceives that task is difficult. For suppose you know nothing about archery and then you have to perform in front of a group. Then what happens? Social impairment happens. Why? Because the group, the influence of the group will be negative on your performance. Both facilitation and impairment are due to the arousal changes. A group influences arousal of an individual when performing a task. If the arousal is high, it helps in facilitation. So if the arousal is very high, it leads to impairment. Okay. Then there is social loafing. What is social loafing? That there is a tendency for people to put less effort into simple tasks when working together with others on a task. For suppose you are stowing and for example, you are staying together with your friends in a particular house for your college. Then there will be many works, right? To wash dishes, to clean your home, to fold blankets and all. It will be a big mess. So what happens here is each individual will tend to put less effort into simple tasks like washing clothes and like washing utensils and all. Why? Because of the individuals assume that their personal responsibility is lessened when working within a group. Like they'll think that someone will take care of that. Okay. But there is a difference between social loafing and de-individuation, which is social loafing has nothing to do with identity, values, etc. Whereas de-individuation has something to do with identity. We'll see. In de-individuation, what happens is there will be a decrease of an individual's sense of personal identity, self-restraint, and the sense of personal responsibility that can occur within the group. Usually what happens is, for suppose, you will have some ethical values or moral values, right? So, but in group, while doing any activity as a group, which is against your moral values and against your ethical values, there will be a tendency to put those moral values and ethical values aside. That is nothing but called de-individuation. Happens because people in a crowd feel a degree of anonymity, so they act more impulsively. So that's all about social influence. We learned about conformity, we learned about compliance, we learned about obedience, and then we learned about different types of group behavior. Okay. Now coming to part 2, which is nothing but social cognition. What is social cognition? The mental processes that people use to make sense of the social world around them. In other words, social cognition focuses on the ways in which people think about other people and actually this is how those thoughts influence behavior toward these people. Okay, same, it is divided into 4 units: attitudes, cognitive dissonance, impression formation, and attribution. Let us dive into unit 1. What is an attitude? It can be defined as a tendency to respond positively or negatively towards a certain idea, person, object, or situation. See, these attitudes can be developed through various ways and can affect the way they behave toward these ideas, people, object, and situation. See, any attitude will have to do something about ideas, people, objects, and situations. These 4 words will come repeatedly. Attitudes include opinions, beliefs, and biases, and it influences the way people view these things even before they have been actually exposed to them. Alright, what an attitude consists of? So, the ABC model of attitude suggests that attitude consists of an affective component, behavior component, and cognitive component. What is an affective component? It is nothing but the feeling of a person towards certain object or person or situation. Then what is behavior? Obviously, you know, the action a person takes in regarding to that particular person or situation or object or something. Then what is cognitive component? The way a person thinks about that particular thing. Example, for suppose, I don't like ghost movies. Let us say ghost movies is the object here. I don't like because I believe, see, I believe is nothing but cognitive component. I believe ghosts are not real and that's why I don't like ghost movies. Don't like means it is an affective component. So what I will do, I don't watch them. This is nothing but called behavior. So this is how an attitude consists of 3 components. Now, how does an attitude form? It could either form through 4 of these following. Let us say a dog has bitten you in your childhood. Then what you will form about dogs? The dogs are dangerous or dogs are wild or something. So, and at the same time, for example, there is a friendly pet dog at your own home with which you have grown up since your childhood. Then what kind of attitudes will you form towards those dogs? The dogs are friendly, the dogs are playful and all. Okay. Then there is direct instruction. For suppose your parents might tell you, don't go near dogs, they will bite you. Because of these direct instructions from your parents, you might form a attitude that the dogs will be dangerous or the dogs might bite you. Then an attitude could also form through the interaction with others. How? Let us say, see, a lot of people get confused between direct contact and interaction with others. I'll explain clearly. The object here is dog. In direct contact, you will have experience with that object itself. But here, in interaction with others, a dog has bitten your best friend. You did not interact with any dog. Let us say hypothetically, you did not interact with any dog. You had nothing to do with any dog. But one of the dogs has bitten your best friend, and he or she told you that a dog has bitten me on the street, a dog has bitten me at my home or something like that. Then what kind of attitude you will form? Dogs are dangerous. How? Because you have interacted with someone who has interacted with that object. Okay. Then there is vicarious conditioning, which is nothing but observational learning. You saw a dog chasing a stranger on the road, then obviously you will form a negative attitude towards those dogs. So these are 4 steps through any of which an attitude could be formed. All right. Now, okay, you already have certain attitudes, right? And can those attitudes change? Yes. How? Through persuasion. Persuasion is nothing but the process by which one person tries to change the belief, opinion, position, or course of action of another person through argument, request like pleading, or explanation. So, persuasion is a very simple. Persuasion is mostly used by advertisements. For example, there is a new cricket bat. Brand came into the market. If your favorite IPL team is promoting that, your attitude towards that will be different. And for suppose one of your rivalry teams to your favorite team is promoting that, then your attitude towards that will change. Okay. Then there is the message, whether the type of message is emotional, sentimental, exhausting, disgusting, etc. So how the message is framed in order to pursue someone's attitude will also influence whether that person gets persuaded. Okay. Then there are target audience. Obviously, For students, the persuasion methods are different. For working adults, it could be different, and then for females, it could be different. Then for males, it could be different. So okay, so depending on which, the advertisers will cleverly use the type of source, the type of message, and all. Then there is obviously medium, online, offline. In online, there are multiple channels like YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and all. Then in offline also, there will be banners, posters, newspapers, and all. Okay, so this is how an attitude might get changed. Okay, now coming to unit 2, cognitive dissonance. What is cognitive dissonance? It is a sense of discomfort that occurs when a person's behavior does not match to that person's attitudes. For suppose you have certain attitudes. Let us say in this example I have added someone who is drinking alcohol. Let us say you have an attitude that drinking, consumption of alcohol is bad morally. Let us say. In reality, let us assume you are consuming alcohol every weekend or every day or something like that. Then what happens is you will get a sense of discomfort in yourself, which is nothing but called cognitive dissonance. This term is given by Leon Festinger and James Carl Smith. Okay. Whenever such discomfort happens, any individual will go either of these 3 stages. They will either change that conflicting behavior. Either you will stop consuming alcohol to make it match with your attitude, or either they will change their current conflicting belief, cognition, to justify their behavior. Okay, you believed your attitude was towards the consumption of alcohol is that it is bad. Now, since you started consuming alcohol, you will change that attitude into consumption of alcohol is not bad or it is good. Either an individual goes through these 2 steps, or the third step will be they will form entirely new cognitions to justify their behavior. They do not change that belief that consumption of alcohol is bad, but what they will do, they will form a new cognition which is consumption of alcohol is bad, but consuming it with friends on weekends is not bad. It is good, it is necessary, it is the norm for nowadays. So you will form new cognitions to justify your own behavior. And then there is a self-perception theory which belongs to which is one of the extensions of cognitive dissonance, which states that instead of experiencing negative tension, people look at their own actions first and then infer their attitudes from their actions. See, they don't, individuals tend not to form beliefs and attitudes in the first place. First they will perform their actions and then they will infer their attitudes from their own actions. That is all about cognitive dissonance. Coming to impression formation. We all know first impression is best impression. There is a saying. It is nothing but the forming of first knowledge that a person has regarding another person. Simple. It includes, the impression formation works in 2 ways. It includes assigning the other person to a number of categories or drawing conclusions about what the person is likely to do, like drawing conclusions about their behavior. Okay. Now, there is something called primacy effect within impression formation, which is very simple. Thoughts or ideas based on first impressions of a person persists, they refuse to change even though people find contradictory information later. Contradictory information information that is opposite to the ideas or thoughts based on those first impression. For suppose you, on the first impression, a person might seem a good person to you, and then after 10 days of interaction or such, on 11th day he did something bad to you, but despite he did that bad thing to you, you would still believe that he is a good person. And this could also happen in reverse also. For suppose the first impression on that particular person is bad, after 10 days or such interaction, on the 11th day he did something very good to you, but you would still believe that person is a bad person. Now, before understanding how this impression formation works and all, there is a particular implicit theory, there is a particular concept called implicit personality theories, which is they are sets of assumptions about how different types of people, personality traits and actions are related to each other. See, every person has certain implicit personality theory. I have my own implicit personality theory, you have your own implicit personality theory, someone else has their own implicit personality theory. These implicit personality theories are unique to everyone. What are they? They are just assumptions about how different types of people, personality traits and actions are related to each other. So, whenever an impression is formed on a certain individual, we place them into certain category. the categories into which people, like into which we place others based on their first impression, is based on these implicit personality theories. It's, theories nothing but based on these assumptions. Okay, these assumptions help in organizing schemas to know, like you understand schemas, right? If you don't know, please refer to cognitive psychology lectures. Okay, now the third step in impression formation is, okay, you got the first impression, you have your own implicit personality theory, and based on that theory, what you will now do is, you will assign that person you just met to a category based on characteristics of that new person in common with the other people with whom one has had experience in the past. Example, see, I will explain it clearly. For suppose you have had past experience with green color persons being aggressive. So I removed black or white just to maintain a neutral stand. Okay, you experienced that green color persons are more aggressive. What you will do, you form your own implicit personality theory that all green color persons are aggressive. So you formed your own implicit personality that all green color persons are aggressive. Now you met a new green color person. So as soon as you meet a new green color person, what will be your first impression? They are aggressive. Then you will definitely categorize new person into aggressive category. So these first impressions might sometimes result in stereotyping and all. Okay, this process of categorizing people based on their first impressions might sometimes result in stereotyping. Now coming to unit 4. Unit 4 is attribution. Attribution is the process of explaining causes of one's own behavior and the behavior of others. So according to this theory, there are two causes of behavior. There are situational causes, there could be dispositional causes. Situational, for suppose there is a person who is coming to classroom late every day. One of the causes could be external, like it could be due to weather, it could be due to traffic, or it could be that he is working early in the mornings, like he might be distributing newspapers in the city, that's why he could be late to the college every day. So many external causes might happen. Or there could be dispositional causes, which are like his own personality traits, like being lazy, being disinterested in everything, or such. Okay, now there is a concept called fundamental attribution error. What is this? There is a tendency to overestimate the influence of internal factors in explaining other person's behavior while underestimating situational causes. See, there is a people often get confused between fundamental attribution error and actor observer bias. They think they both are same. No. See, in fundamental attribution error, there is no our own behavior. Okay, there is only other person's behavior. We are trying to explain only other person's behavior. In explaining in explaining other person's behavior, we tend to overestimate the influence of internal factors, but we underestimate the situational factors. Now, then what is actor observer bias? The tendency to, in actor observer bias, we explain our own behavior also and we explain other person behavior also. How? There is a tendency to attribute our own behavior to situational factors while attributing others' actions to dispositional causes if behavior is negative. See, for example, you failed in an exam. Then what you will do? You will say that you are an actor, right? You failed in exam and you are an actor. Then what you will do? Obviously that situation is negative. Then what you will say is the paper is tough, or the faculty has not completed the syllabus properly. You might say these things. You attribute your own behavior to situational factors when that particular behavior is negative. Whatever that happened is negative. Okay, but while attributing others' actions to dispositional causes, if the behavior is negative. For suppose someone else has failed the same exam as you, but you passed, then what you will say? You will not say that paper is tough, you will not say that syllabus has not completed properly. What you will say is that person is lazy, that person is incapable of passing that test. Okay, but if the behavior, if the whatever the thing is happened is positive, for suppose you have cleared UGC-NET or UGC JRF or something, then what you will say? I cleared JRF because of my own abilities. You attribute it to your own dispositional causes. Whereas you, let us say you failed but someone else passed UGC-NET, then what you will do? You will do reverse. You will not say that they passed because due to their own innate abilities. You will say the paper is easy this time, he might have copied from someone else or such. Okay, that is the difference between fundamental attribution error and actor observer bias. See, in many textbooks, actor observer bias will not offer that positive and negative sides. Okay, please know, please take a note of that. Now coming to part 3. Part 3 is very simple, social interaction, and within social interaction there is prejudice and discrimination, interpersonal attraction and love, aggression, prosocial behavior. It usually deals with relationships between people. Now coming to unit 1. See, before going into prejudice and discrimination, we need to differentiate between stereotype, prejudice and discrimination. Most of the people get confused between prejudice and stereotype. They think both of them are can be interchangeably used, or both of them are same, but they are not. We'll see how. See, stereotype has something to do with cognitive generalizations, your beliefs, your expectations, whereas prejudice is mostly a negative attitude toward another person. Stereotype is a set of cognitive generalizations about the qualities and characteristics of the members of a group or social category. It could be either positive or negative. Okay, please remember, stereotype is mostly negative, but if you speak strictly, it could be either positive or negative. Then there is prejudice. Prejudice is definitely a negative attitude toward another person or group formed in sometimes advance of any experience with that person or group. I will explain with an example, please wait. Then there is discrimination. Discrimination is simply a differential treatment, differential behavior. For suppose you behave in particular way to certain group and you behave in another way towards a certain group. That is nothing but called discrimination. See, these are affected mainly by prejudices. When those particular prejudices of a person causes them to treat matlab it is a behavior, people of that particular group differently, it is called discrimination. For example, I am using dogs here to stay neutral, I am not using any humans, males or something. See, let us say all street dogs are dangerous. You formed the stereotype. How a prejudice is formed, we will see. Wait, all street dogs are dangerous, let us say. This is nothing but a cognitive generalization. Then what you will do? Obviously you will form a negative attitude towards street dogs, which is nothing but a prejudice. Then different interaction with street dogs versus pet dogs. See, you are interacting with street dogs differently, you are interacting with pet dogs differently. That is nothing but called discrimination. Types of prejudice. Prejudice could be based on age, sex, race, religion, nationality and so on. Another variation of prejudice is, for suppose you believe you belong to a particular group. For suppose you believe you belong to boys, you believe you belong to certain religion, you believe you belong to certain, so that is nothing but called in group, social groups with whom a person identifies as us. Okay, then there are out groups. Obviously any other group other than your own identified group is nothing but called out group, social groups with whom a person does not identify them. Okay, now how does a prejudice forms? There are different explanations for how a prejudice forms. See, according to social cognitive theory, prejudice is just seen as an attitude. We have already learned how an attitude will form. It could be either due to direct contact, direct instructions and all. There are 4 stages, right? So simply social cognitive theory states that prejudice is nothing but an attitude, and it forms just like an attitude forms. Then there is realistic conflict theory. Prejudice and discrimination will be increased between groups that are in conflict over a limited resource. Let us say there is a village, and in that village there are rich, there are middle class, there are poor. For example, there are 3 different groups. Okay, let us aggregate them hypothetically. Then there is a paddy field, like there is a food, there is a crop. When that crop is sufficient to everyone, when that crop is in surplus, there will not be any prejudices or stereotypes towards certain groups. But whenever that crop is limited, there is a tendency for different groups to form prejudices or stereotypes towards different groups. The poor might think the middle class and rich are cruel for not giving them some crop to eat, like in such a ways. Okay, then there is social identity theory. According to this theory, 3 processes are responsible for the formation of a person's identity within a particular social group, which then results in prejudices towards out groups. Okay, the first stage in this social identity theory in forming prejudices is, first will form the part of the self concept, including one's own view of self as a member of particular social category. First of all, you will identify yourself as belonging to some particular group. Okay, I might belong to this particular, it could be anything. It could be either a nationality, it could be either uh, fans association or something. It could be anything. You identify first yourself with a particular group. Then what we will do, you will categorize yourself into that particular category. People assign themselves to social categories, which in turn determine how they should behave. Obviously, when you categorize yourself into some particular group, then the group will have certain norms, right? The group will dictate how you should behave. Okay. Then there is social comparison. Then you will start comparing yourself or your group to others in a way that raises your own self-esteem. Okay. Usually the social comparison is done in order to raise your own self-esteem. This is actually the social comparison. The role of social comparison in forming prejudice is coined by Leon Festinger also. Okay. So, prejudices may form at least in part from the need to increase one's own self-esteem by looking down on others. Okay. So, there is this tendency for every individuals to increase their own self-esteem, and how will they do that? By looking down upon others, which you should not do. Oh. Okay. There is one more concept called stereotype vulnerability, which is nothing but the effect that people's awareness of the stereotypes associated with their social group has on their behavior. For example, there is a stereotype in society that women can't drive safely. Okay, there are many men who believe such thing. So what those experiment that researcher did was, he took 100 participants, 100 female participants, he divided 50 female participants into one group, and he then divided 50 female participants into another group. To one group he directly said, okay, there is a stereotype in society that women can't drive safely. I want to test it. Please go to that computer and perform that particular driving task or driving simulation task. Then to other group, he just said that we developed a new game called Doctor Driving or something. Please, I just want you guys to check it out and give your review. So when they compared the results of both the groups to those who got reminded of their stereotypes that women can't drive safely, they did more accidents in that particular game when compared to that other group. Okay. Why? Because people feel anxious about behaving in ways that might support the stereotype of their own group, which leads to self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, self-fulfilling prophecy is nothing but tendency of one's expectations to affect one's behavior in such a way as to make those expectations more likely to occur. Okay. So how can we in general overcome prejudice? One is through definitely education. See, right now you are learning about how prejudices form, how attitudes form, what is discrimination and all, right? Obviously education will help in reducing those prejudices. Then there is direct contact with, for suppose you have prejudice towards certain groups. If you if you interact with them directly, you might get to know that those prejudices are false. Okay. Then there is intergroup contact, obviously, which is something similar to direct contact, but in intergroup what happens is both the groups, both your in-group and your out-group will merge, so that the interaction will happen, which will reveal that certain prejudices you have towards those groups are not real. Then there is a equal status contact. This is a very interesting one. Please refer to Robert's cave experiment to understand it better. Now coming to Unit 2. Unit 2 is about interpersonal attraction and love. In interpersonal attraction, we will see why people like someone else. It basically deals with liking or having the desire for a relationship with another person. So there are certain factors involved in this interpersonal attraction. There are certain factors that are involved in interpersonal attraction. The first one is physical attractiveness, especially important in the initial stages. Okay. Then there is proximity. Proximity is nothing but being physically near someone else. But within proximity, there is a small mere exposure effect, which is the more people experience something, the more they tend to like it. This usually happens with advertisements and all. Okay. Then there is similarity. People tend to like being around others who are similar to them in some way. In a way, this deals with needing validation of a person's beliefs and attitudes. For example, you believe that consumption of alcohol is fun. especially on weekends or with friends. And then there is an individual who believes against that, who believes that consumption of alcohol is a taboo for say, let us say. So obviously, only when you guys share particular like similar characteristics, you will get attracted to that other person, right? Then there are complementary qualities, which is the opposite of similarities, characteristics in one person that fill a need in the other. Okay, for suppose let us say you do not know how to manage money, then you meet someone who can manage the money properly. Okay, that also determines how much you get attracted to that other person. But research showed that it is similarity, not complementarity, that draws people together and helps them stay together. Okay, please keep in mind. Then there is reciprocity of liking, which is tendency of people to like other people who like them in return. Okay, so the individuals tend to like the other person when they got to know that the other person is also liking them. The only time when this fails is when a person has a low self-worth. Now, there is a theory of love by Robert Sternberg, also called triangular theory of love. So according to this theory, there are three components of love. First thing is intimacy, feelings of closeness one has for other, like in the first stage I have shown here. It is not physical but psychological. Okay, then there is passion, physical aspect of love like holding hands, hugs, kiss, sexual arousal and all. Then there is commitment, decisions one makes about a relationship. These three factors, these three components decide what kind of love, what kind of relationship you have with other person. So how, we'll see. First, suppose you just have intimacy, then it is just nothing but called liking. Or let us say you just have commitment, like it happens in arranged marriages, right? You okay, it is called empty love. Then there is passion, you have physical feelings towards something, like someone. It is nothing but called infatuation. There are combinations of them. For suppose you have intimacy and commitment towards a person, then it is a companionate love. Okay, for suppose you have intimacy and passion towards someone, then it is romantic love. And then if there is passion and commitment towards someone, it is fatuous love. If you have all the three, it is called as it is consummate or consummate love. Okay, so this is how three components of Sternberg's triangular theory of love decides what kind of relationship you will have with the other person. Now coming to unit 3, aggression. Aggression, everybody knows, when one person tries to harm another person intentionally, either physically or psychologically, it is called aggression. So there are several explanations for aggression. One of those explanations is frustration aggression hypothesis given by Dollard and Miller. Okay, what they had said was, first of all, what is frustration? Occurs whenever a person is prevented from reaching some desired goal. According to this hypothesis, the aggression is seen as reaction to that frustration. So whenever you wanted to do something and it did not happen, it will lead to frustration and it will further lead into aggression. Whereas Sigmund Freud explained aggression as a basic human instinct. And then there is Lawrence, who explained aggression as an instinct for fighting to promote the survival of species. There are biological explanations as well, which talks about genetics, hormonal influences like testosterone. So there are studies which revealed that higher testosterone levels leads to more aggression. Then alcohol. So all of these are biological explanations for aggression. Then there is social learning theory, according to which the aggression is seen as a learned behavior, and within which social roles will also play an important role. See, please refer to Stanford Prison Experiment. I have also referred to Stanford Prison Experiment in a research methodology crash course. If you haven't seen it yet, you can refer to that also. Now coming to unit 4, prosocial behavior. Simply, any socially desirable behavior that benefits others is called prosocial behavior. Using dustbins for trash is also a prosocial behavior. Helping a stranger in accident, running an orphanage, all of these are prosocial behavior. But there is a small difference between a socially desirable like prosocial behavior and an altruistic behavior. Altruism is one form of social behavior, but that is done with no expectations of reward and even may involve the risk of harm to oneself. For suppose, use of dustbins for trash is a prosocial behavior, but it will not come under altruism. Why? Because you're doing so because the government mandates you to do so. Okay, now these will come under altruism. You are running an orphanage despite one's own financial hurdles, helping a stranger in an accident, donating money even at the cost of one's own freedom, like you are sacrificing your own luxury to donate your money to a good cause. It also comes under altruism. So now, coming into other behaviors, group behaviors, let us say an accident happened on road, and there are so many people, but no one is helping him. No one went to help him. Why this happens? It is explained by Winston Moseley and Catherine Kitty by bystander apathy. Apathy is nothing but called lack of empathy, and the person who is beside that particular incident but not go like who is beside that particular incident, who is witnessing that incident, is called as bystander. When other people are present at the scene or assumed to be present, individuals are affected by two basic principles. What are they? First one is bystander effect. What is bystander effect? Which is given by Bibliothane and John Darley. I don't know if I am pronouncing those names right. However, the bystander effect usually refers to the effect that the presence of other people has on the decision to help or not help. The more the bystanders, the less will be help. For suppose you are going on an empty road in the midnight, let us say. Then an accident happened for an individual on bike. So since there is no one around, you will take that full responsibility towards them, which is nothing but called diffusion of responsibility, which will come later. Whereas if there is a group, it is a 12 o'clock in the afternoon, happened in a heavy crossroads junction or such, there will be many people around you. You think that someone will take that responsibility, which is nothing but called diffusion of responsibility. A phenomenon occurring when a person fails to take responsibility for either action or inaction because of the presence of other people who are seen to share that responsibility. Okay, so because of these two, bystander apathy is caused, because of which an individual who needs help might not receive help. Now, whenever an individual requires some help, there are 5 decision points which a bystander goes through. These are cognitive decision points a bystander must face in their decision making process. First one is noticing, realizing there is a situation that might be an emergency. See, the individual have not decided that that particular situation is an emergency in this stage. Then there is second stage, defining an emergency. He realizes that yes, this is an emergency and this particular guy needs help. Then he takes responsibility. Okay, there is no one around, or even if there is someone else, I want to take that responsibility. Then spelling mistake. This is actually planning a course of action. Okay, what to do now? Should I call ambulance first? Should I give him a water first? Or should I wipe his blood first? Or something like that. Then there is taking action, which is actually helping that individual who needs help. So this is all about social psychology. We explored the different parts. We explored social cognition, social influence, social interaction. We explored different concepts like love, interpersonal attraction, attitudes, everything. So this is, in a nutshell, this is a brief overview of entire social psychology. And myself, R.D. Prashil, I teach psychology at scirocket.com. Please visit the website, and you will have many different courses on my YouTube channel as well. I have done several courses on research methodology, biological psychology also. Please refer to them if you need it. So thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for staying until the end.